What's going on, everybody? This is Drew, aka Sniping No Sniping. No, I'm playing. This is a weekly prep call for the week of April 24th to April 28th, the last week of the first month of this quarter. This week we have a lot of big earnings. Definitely expecting some volatility, some gap up, gap downs, hopefully some decent price action, some good moves in the market. What's going to happen here is I'm going to go over just some items this week that we should be aware of, such as the earnings, of course, the weekly fan greed index reading, and then I'll go into the watches that I have for this week. So yeah, let's just jump right in. So earnings this week, tomorrow, Monday, for open, we have Coca-Cola, and I'm only going to name the significant ones. Definitely look out for that. And there Tuesday, we got Verizon, UPS, Halliburton, that's an oil company, GM, that's General Motors, McDonald's, GE, which is General Electric, 3M, Pepsi, Spotify, and Raytheon. Tuesday is jam-packed. And then after close Tuesday, we got Microsoft, Google, Enphase, that's EMPH Energy Company. Then we got Visa, Chipotle, Texas Instruments. That's all Tuesday. Wednesday before open, we have Boeing, Humana, Hilton, and those I wouldn't worry about the other ones. Wednesday after close is another huge day. We got Meta, Roku, ServiceNow, United Rentals. Thursday before open, we have American Airlines, Caterpillar, Eli Lilly, Valero, Southwest, MasterCard, Crocs, Tria, which is Mo, AbbVie, and Merck. And then after close Thursday, we have Amazon, Intel, Snapchat, Cloudflare, First Solar, United States Steel, Pinterest. Friday, last but not least, Friday before open, we have Exxon Mobil, Chevron, Colgate, earnings on Thursday. On Friday. So we got some big names this week. Let's go to the Fear and Greed Index. This week, we closed Friday at 65. We are still in the greed territory. Whenever we are, Fear and Greed Index goes from a 0 to 100 scale, right? 0 being extreme fear, 100 being extreme greed, right? So when we are, let's say, at close to 100 and they're extreme greed, you should be fearful in the market. Expect a nice drop, a nice sell-off, because there is too much optimism in the market at that moment, and then it's due for a pullback or a sell-off. And when we are in extreme fear, that's when everyone's very fearful. There's a lot going on. That is when you want to be buying for upside, because the famous quote from Warren Buffett is, be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. So we are at 65 this week. Last week, we started the week at 67. So we are coming down a bit, but we are still in the greed territory. We still got room to upside, still got room to the downside. But you can see, looking at the chart, we have more room to the downside potentially than the upside. Now, as far as economical events or data for this week, Tuesday, we got consumer confidence, building permits, new home sales. Wednesday, we got core durable good orders. And that's before market open, hour before, whether those will come back higher or low. Thursday, we have GDP, which is gross domestic products. So the gross domestic products, it measures the annualized change in the inflation-adjusted value of goods and services produced by the economy. So if this comes back higher than expected, this is good for currency, which is not good for the market, because the market moves opposite of currency. So if this comes back higher than expected, it's not going to be good for the market. You should expect some bearish activity. It is good for the market, and you may see bulls keep stepping in and trying to hold the market. And then on that same day, Thursday, we have jobless claims, and these are both an hour before open, so we will have these data before the market opens. And then Friday, we have core PCE price index. And what that is the core personal consumption expenditure, right? So this measures the changes in the price of goods and services purchased by consumers for the purpose of consumption, excluding food and energy. And as GDP, if this comes back higher than expected, not good for the market. And if it comes back lower, then the market will like that. Last week, we had a bunch of pop-up surprise speeches and stuff. So, but either way, we're not worried about it, man. You just play price action and play off of key levels and sticking to your plan and everything. So let's go into the charts. So y'all know I like to start off with ES and SPY. ES is the S&P 500 mini futures. just like to always start off and see how we are looking there, right? So when I'm looking at it here, I'm seeing solid resistance, and this is the daily chart. Solid resistance at this 4190 level, and we have again rejected that, but we looks like we are currently bull flagging. I apologize for all these lines, but these lines are very key levels that I have on the ES, so I must keep them. Well, you see, we are kind of bull flagging, a nice bull flag consolidation on the daily here. And we are holding this 4140 support here, right? This support is what we've been bouncing off of. You've seen we've been waking off of it, but nice. So we do have a trend break on the daily on ES. As you see, we've been riding this trend here since March, and we have broken it, but we haven't broke the support zone that's holding it all together. So I'm not bearish, too bearish on the market, unless we can break and hold on to this 4140 of high 4130s level here. You can see the futures are open now. We are rejecting this trend line here. Let's go to the hourly. So hourly, we can see a cleaner picture here. We are in a nice downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows here. We just need a clean break and hold under this 4136 to 4140 support level. And then we should see some decent downside. I have some decent targets at 4122. The next major support is at 4100. So about a nice 40 point move down potentially. Which is big on the ES. Now going into SPYs, look at the same as ES. But however, I did mention how ES broke the daily trend. This is the same daily trend here that ES has, but SPY is actually still holding it, right? And SPY has good support. We can see SPY is bull flagging here. You know, a nice consolidation here. Friday we closed pretty strong here. So remember there. But SPY is holding this 410 support. ES is holding that 4140 level support. So SPY, 410 and 411 are decent supports on SPY. I want to see SPY break below 410, and that'll also be this trend line break for some bearish activity, right? And then SPY can come down to a 407, 408 level first, then 405, 406 is another solid support. And then we have a gap down here right on the 400 from 396 to 399, 398. But that's if we definitely get very bearish. I think we can. If we look back at SPY, every time, you know, the last few times we had these nice trend ups, whenever we broke with some nice value, we had significant sell-offs. See here, we broke significant sell-off, we broke significant sell-off, and now we are doing it again for a third time. Potentially, you know, we may get a nice sell-off if we break this trend here. But we could also hold this trend, and we can hold this 410 support, this 411 support, and we can shoot up and come and test these highs again around 415. And we do have gaps to fill up to the 420 and into the mid 420s. Right now, SPY can go either way, but definitely if we break below 410 and hold, we can definitely be bearish in the market and place some puts until, you know, if it reclaims that level or whatever. But if we do hold, we do have good upside as well. So SPY is at 412 now. I'm going to leave SPY alone for now until, you know, we can come down to this 410 and see what we do there. See with a nice flag there. We're rejecting this resistance. Ideally, I want to see SPY come down and break or bounce off the 410. So I am going to stay patient with SPY. And I do have some other tickets that I'm watching for right now that look amazing. And let me go ahead and go into those. So the first one is NVIDIA. So now I'm going to pull up the NVIDIA daily chart. We can see NVIDIA has been on an absolute tear. And now it's in a huge consolidation period. It's actually in a huge ascending triangle, right? So now if I go down to the hourly, we can see that it is also consolidating within another ascending triangle. And it's usual for NVIDIA to make these kind of consolidations. You can see since April, it's been doing kind of the same thing. Ascending triangle here, couldn't break the resistance, then it broke and went nice. Same thing here. Extended triangle, couldn't break it, broke. Consolidated a bit more, came back, retested the trend, and then bounced crazy and ran. So I'm kind of looking for NVIDIA to do the same thing this week. And there's two ways we can play this, right? We can play the intraday, we can play the break of this triangle here and play it up to this resistance around 280. Or looking at the daily, we can be patient and play the huge breakout over 280, which we can see 290. But I will be playing the intraday break if we can get a nice clean break. So I am watching the video this week. On the lower time frames, over 271.83. The video over 271.83, and these yellow lines here are my targets. The yellow lines are my target. This is my risk to reward here. I'm actually going to tighten this. I'm going to have my stop at 270. So I don't want to risk that much on this. So see here, we're risking this much, risking very small, to potentially make this much. So this is a very good risk to reward trade that I will be taking on the video. If it does end up going in our favor, with a stop at 270. And I see it coming up to 280. So I will be adding positions once it breaks out of 270, 272 area real clean. And then adding to the position on the way up if it continues to run strong. And then, the targets, first is 272.27, which is a very small move. So really, we can wait for NVIDIA to clear 272.27, 2.3 area to go ahead and add decent position. And then we can take profits at 275 area, then 277 area, and then 288. And then if you like, you can leave a runner to see if it's going to break out and go into that 290. But I'll cross that bridge when we get there. So again, this is the video over 271.83 or 272. And the first TP I have is 275, then 277, and 280. So NVIDIA is probably top watch this week or tomorrow. This looks like it wants to do its move tomorrow. Now next, so we do have to be prepared for the downside as well. So if it does end up breaking out of this ascending triangle trend here, it breaks this trend line here around 266, mid 260s. I do like puts. I do like to take it down to this 263 support. You can see this 263 is where this white dotted line is, and we have very good support here. Very, very good support, very good support, very good support here. And then this was actually resistance before. So this is a very good level to get to if we can break below this trend. So I'll definitely be watching this. We can play this both ways. Whatever it wants to give us, we'll take it. We got good targets to both sides. So that's NVIDIA. Next is AMD. And while NVIDIA is showing upside, AMD is showing downside. So AMD, I am a trend trader, support resistance trader. I love trading trend breaks, trend bounces. You can see a lot of trend lines and stuff like that on my charts. I have AMD in a nice trend since January, and we have 1, 2, 3 bounces, but we actually broke this trend last week. So I am looking to be bearish on AMD if and only if we can break below this clean 88 support level. You see this 88 has been holding very, very, very good. So we can see here it's holding, here it's holding, here it's holding. 88, and then 88 was just also, it was resistance over here, resistance here, and then we got this crazy breakout where we ran up to what, 100 plus. AMD, as long as AMD holds 88, it's probably bullish because the bulls are holding it. So I do want to play this both ways as well. And the AMD is very similar to NVIDIA, so they usually run the same. So NVIDIA is going to end up running, then I would definitely look for AMD to be holding this 80 level. And then if it breaks above 88.9, this next support, then we can probably add positions and play it up to 90. And then I have a good resistance at 93. We can see this 93 is very good resistance. It was support before. We got a breakout here. Support, support, support. Breakdown and consolidation, the reclaim here, and then the rejects and stuff off of that level. So potential good $5 move upside. But however, if we do break below 88 for some reason and hold below, then I'll be looking to take puts down into this 85, 86 demand zone. We see this box here is where we had good action at AMD before. We had aggressive selling. Aggressive selling here again. Buyers bought it up, and then we had aggressive buying, retesting a very, very aggressive buying here. So I definitely think if we break 88, we will magnetize to this 85, 86 support zone, which is about a $2-3 move down. Which is in the options world is a lot. It could be a lot. So a bit of a small move, but it can definitely reward very nice. Yeah, so that's the upside on AMD, the downside on AMD. And again, AMD, I'll be watching the video as well to see if the video ends up breaking out, then you know what I'm saying, we pretty much have a good idea that AMD is gonna be running as well. You know what I'm saying, the same to the downside. The video AMD on my watch. The next I have on watch is Apple. I don't have any entries yet on Apple, but I am watching it because Apple as well is in a nice trend, and it looks like it's coming down to test that trend. So I want to see if Apple comes down and bounces or breaks below this trend line, right? And shouts out to Adam for pointing out this trend that I did not see on Apple. It also has a nasty, major downtrend since 2021. December 2021, you can see we got 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections here, right? So if we hold this reject here, we can get very, very bearish. As you see, that every time before when we have ran up and then rejected from this trend line, we have massive sell-offs, massive sell-off, massive sell-off, and we have yet to sell off here around the same trend line. So Apple is going to be used this week. And then Apple, as we know, is a big holding, actually the biggest holding in SPY and QQQ. So pretty much whatever Apple's doing in the market. So Apple, again, no entries yet, but I am watching Apple for a trend break. And if we do get a trend break with some bearish value, there's a good chance we might get a decent sell-off to at least this gap that it has down at 158. But you've seen the moves that it made before this resistance. So keep that in the back of our minds that Apple has a good trend of rejecting this resistance and selling off crazy. Yep, that's Apple. Then I have two more tickets that I'm watching. The next is PayPal. PayPal, we are going to look at the hourly. The daily, you can see that we are in a clear, nice trend. Hourly, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're on our 6th bounce here with a nice bull candle here. But I do like the hourly better. So here's the hourly. We can see we're clearly in a nice uptrend. We're making higher lows. We did make a higher high here. We didn't make a higher to reach them. But we did double tap this higher high and then rejected and sold off. Then we created another downtrend here. PayPal, ideally, it already broke out of this trend here. So ideally, I want to see PayPal come back down and retest around the 73 support level here. We can see this orange dotted line. It's been very good support here. Very good support here. And this is actually right around this trend line too. So it's a confluence here. So I want to see PayPal come down into around the 73 area. That I'll be comfortable taking calls to the upside if it holds support. It must hold this support here. And if it does come down, we'll take some calls. First target I have 74. You see 74 is a decent support for PayPal before. Then 75.59, which was good resistance before. Good support here. Good support here. Then it has a gap from 76 to 76.40. And then 76.8, and then 77.97, which was that double top resistance here. Is my last target. If I bring out my tool here, a long resistance tool. Say we do get in around the 70s, the mid 70s, and our stop is the low here at 72.95, or no, 72.9. And then we have a potential of it running to this double top here at 77.9, and we have a 7.38 risk to reward. It's very, very nasty. You do have to put these contracts out maybe 2 weeks out if you do want to hold this. But I'll definitely be taking profits at each one of these profit targets. And, the goal is to have just at least, or just one runner to run potentially to these highs if we do end up running. But we are in a nice trend here. So this would be a very good entry to the upside if we can get a nice little pullback. It already broke out, so I don't want to take it up there unless it does come and hold the 74 level, which was a target here. Price target, if it does, say it opens up above and it comes down and hold this, then I will take calls here. And then ride it up to that 75.6 area. So PayPal. And then if it does go, if we do get bearish on the market, if it does break below this trend here, then I'll look to take puts. Then I'll just have simple targets at each one of these lows. So one low here, another low around here, and then the last around this area here, 71.2. So we got decent downside, decent upside on PayPal. And I just like the market structure on PayPal. We're making higher lows. So that's PayPal. Then next is a very, very cheap stock. It's Peloton. It's like $9 stock. So this is a very cheap play. And what I see on the daily is a nice bullish engulfing here off of these lows. And it also has bullish divergence, right? So it's when the stock is making lower lows, and then the indicators are making higher lows, indicating a potential reversal. So this is one of my favorite setups. And it does have room to the upside. You see it's been a nice downtrend. And if we zoom out, it's actually in an uptrend. When in doubt, zoom out. So if I take my trend line tool here, draw a trend line here, boom, we can see that we are in a nice uptrend. 1, 2, 3, 4th bounce here. So I would definitely consider this a high probability trade, and it's very cheap too. The contracts that I'm looking at are the $10 contracts for this week. They're currently 16 cents. So this is a play that I'm looking to load up on and just take profits on my profit taking points. So let's go down to the 15-minute. Now that we established Peloton is doing on a bigger scale, let's go down to the smaller time frames and see what it's doing. Boom. So Peloton, I got breaking out of small time frame 15-minute trend here, and it's consolidating nice ascending triangle. Y'all know I like to play ascending triangle, one of my favorite setups. So I do have solid resistance here at 9.52. See, we got all these highs here are 9.52. So we have 3 exact highs at 9.52. So I want to see a break above 9.52 on Peloton. For confirmation, above 9.56, as 9.56 was good support. But yeah, over 9.52, 9.56, then I have a target at 9.72. Nice support resistance area here. Then Peloton has a 15-minute gap from 9.8 to 9.9. And then finally, these highs up here at 10.12 area. I didn't even put a target there, put it, boom. Being that it did break out of the trend and it's consolidating very nice, making higher lows, we could get a nice break. Could get a nice break here. Could get a nice break in the retest. And then it may want to go bananas and go up here. That would be lovely. So with this play, I'm looking to load up on the contracts, starting with starters at first, and then just adding contracts on the way up if it continues on the way up. It's a very cheap play, 16 cents per contract, so I'm definitely gonna be loading up. And this is a small move. This is about a 50-60 cent move. But with these small contracts, I mean, that's a lot for that stock. If that does that, those contracts will go crazy. It's a good cheap play. This is probably my second favorite play for the week. It's P-Tone. First is NVIDIA, then it's P-Tone. And again, it's just I have so many confirmations. The lower time frames are showing me upside. The higher time frames are showing nasty upside. It's on a nasty trend here. So P-Tone is definitely the top contender next to NVIDIA this week. Let's take a look at the weekly. Weekly, nice too. You can see did close the doji last week, but this could mean that the buyers are stepping in after this mean sell-off it had. So let's see what this week has to hold. And it does have earnings coming up in May. So that's I believe that's the week after next. So we got time. We got time. P-Tone. So those are my watches for this week. Again, SPY, NVIDIA, AMD, Apple, PayPal, and Peloton. I really like these. Sticking to my plan, man. Every day, of course, we're going to get new opportunities, but these are the main stocks that I'll be focusing on this week. And I don't plan on swinging, given that we do have some big names earnings. But if I do see fit, I will swing. And yeah, that's all I have. I'm gonna swing it over to Rolo. Over his watches if he have anything he's watching for the week. So yeah, stop sharing now. Rolo, you got it.
Appreciate you, Drew. And appreciate y'all being here. I'm trying to make it as quick as possible, man. I got like eight that I'm gonna end up posting up. So first two stocks I'm gonna look at is SPY and DIA. Now SPY, yes, wrong. Turn it down. All right, so SPY had a red 2 up weekly, right? And I would like to take it if it broke below 410.17 for puts, and the target would be 405.97. Although overall, I still would like to see SPY come up and touch this 418.31. If the price action moves it downwards under 410.17, I could see the market bleeding with it. Puts. I don't have an upside entry, but the upside target overall, if it did, would be 418.31. But if it breaks below 410, I'm looking for puts. Next is DIA. DIA had an inside week. 336.81. The target price would be 333.43. And then 332.63. And that's on the weekly time frame. And on the daily, those target prices actually make sense right there. There is also a gap down here if we do get bloody, but I don't know if it'll end up making that move that quick. But first target prices, like I said, 333.43 and 332, and that's under 336. Now for upside, over 340.22, technically the first target price is 340.88, and then the next target price would be 343.53. That's if it breaks upside, but it's currently kind of at the top of a broadening formation. So I would like to see a downside move here, but again, we're gonna play whatever the market give me. So D-Dog, so the weekly, it's actually a shooter weekly. And I would take puts under 67, which was last week's low. The target prices, which I got from the daily time frame, would be this 65.92, and then the gap fill down to 64.85, and then the third target price would be the 62.81. Again, this is a shooter week. I'll take puts below last week's low. Real easy right there. UMP, similar situation. Shooter weekly. And I'll take puts under last week's low. Under 198.09. First target is 196.73. Then 194.07. And those target prices actually make sense. They already had earnings last week, so we ain't got to worry about that. I do want to look at CSX real quick. I'm not watching this, but I did want to see how they close. Also, UMP has full time frame continuity to the downside. There's also another gap a little bit further down, but again, I don't know if it'll make that move in 1 week, but you want to play to the downside with time, you could possibly hit this gap down here between 188 and 190. STLD. All right, so this is an inside day candle. Calls over 110.60. Target price is the high the previous day or 2 days ago, which would be 115.12, and then the gap fill up to 116.29. Puts under 106.53. Target price would be 103.2, and then 100.62. And you could use 100 as a psych level. If it comes all the way back down there, 100 would be a good psych level for puts. Again, this is an inside day candle. Easy. Break of Friday's high or low and play it to Thursday's high or low. All right, T, similar situation. Currently towards the bottom of a broadening formation. Made a new lower low after the earnings. If we get some type of relief bounce, it does have a lot of upside potential. It's a cheap stop, but inside day calls over 1840. Target price is 1872. You could take the 1850s and be good. Let's see how number 9 look. 1850s if we wanted to do that. 10 cent or 11 cent. And if they end up going in the money, they have the potential to double, even triple. Super cheap contracts right there for T. Also, it's a huge gap to fill to the top side, but got to see what it's going to end up doing first. These are not currently target prices. These are old drones right there, and this one would actually be the next target price. And puts under 1783, target price is 1756. Last two is going to be Roblox. Real interesting play here. So, Roblox, y'all know, a gap down last week on Monday. A super far gap down. All right. So the weekly is going to look like a just nasty gap down candle. And I'm going to get to that in 1 second. But it's an inside day from Friday and puts under 40.62. Target prices is 40.48, 40.02, and then 39.1. But to the top side, if this thing decides to break to the top side, and I'm sorry that these are so far together, calls over 41.81, and the first target price is 41.99, which is only an 18 cent move. But if it breaks over this 41.99, that's actually the weekly call trigger for a 2 down, 2 up reversal. And then it's a huge gap to fill, as you already know. Huge gap. But if it breaks over that 41.99, target prices I have are 44.44 and then 45.7. So the daily call trigger, the daily first target price is also the weekly call trigger. So it's kind of interesting play right there. And lastly, it's going to be NIO. All right, and this is strictly off the daily. Niles was gapping down all last week. Crazy gap downs. Now, I will play calls over 838. Actually, I need to verify what day that they have earnings. Because if they got earnings, that might mean the premium is going to be jacked up. But I'll still plot it out. So calls over 838. First target price is 858, then 879, which is a gap fill, then 9.2, then 9.47, which is also a gap fill. And that is all I got as far as plays that I'm watching for this week. Watch NIO, because if they do got earnings, that could get tricky. And then I'm gonna go over the plays that I swung. I swung Cisco because it gave me a hammer at the bottom of a Broadening formation. High, low, higher, high, lower, low. Again, you could play it safe if you want to, but I'm already in this. The first target prices are 47.65 and then 48.04, and I got the 47.5 calls. There's another gap way up here between 49.67 and 50.31, but I'm only going to play it short. It's a lot of tech earnings this week. We'll see how it goes. But this gap down was crazy. They didn't even have earnings or anything. I got to look back and see why it gapped down so hard, but I'm expecting some type of small bounce, especially with this hammer. So we'll see how things go. And I did not have time to put this out because I got in at like 1 minute before the market closed. But I got in Airbnb calls. Y'all can see that trend line from the low 2022. But it had this long wick to the bottom side. It was a hammer, but it still has this gap to fill right here. And Airbnb has been moving like crazy with no news. That's the wild part. But I swung this. I feel safe swinging hammers that look like this with the long wicks. I got in 120 calls, just something slight, but the gap fill is only up to 118.4. Now, this hammer looks similar to the XOM hammer, right? And you want trading to become systematic, right? So if you see a hammer with a crazy long wick to one side or to the bottom, it's safe to, I feel like it's safe to say that it's going to end up going up. Now, anything can happen, and you got to be prepared for that, but this is a high probability play with long wicks to the bottom and it closing as a hammer candle. And that is what Airbnb did. Had a nasty gap down, and the buyers stepped in all the way. This low is 112, and it went from 112 to 115. Yeah, so, and that's all the plays that I got right now, man.